Good morning and welcome back to the channel. So today I'm super excited because I am going to be creating the toe kick drawers, okay, which entails creating the boxes for the drawer, the drawer fascia, the drawer front, and also the magnets that hold it in place. What I've already installed is what is called UHMW plastic strips for these drawer boxes to slide on. Yes, I could have chosen just soft closing drawer slides, which I'm using everywhere else, but the thing about the toe kicks is they're very low in the van, so the likelihood of things shooting open or the amount of weight I'm going to put in these things is not very high. So I decided to just get them to slide on this UHMW plastic and to just magnetize in place and then pull out as I need to use them. And if they do pull out during transit, well, I'm going to see, I guess. These are the things we learn. It's not going to be a big drama because they're very, very low in the van. They're literally right next to the floor. Okay, so first thing I'm going to be doing is measuring up for the size of the drawer boxes, and then I'm going to start building them. I'm doing a really super simple method. I think real cabinetry makers will roll in their turn in their grave, as they say, if they watch what I do, but they're not going to have to take too much weight. So I'm literally just going to be cutting up 1/2-inch plywood using brad nails and using cabinetry screws to hold this together. And then I'm going to varnish them, and then I'm going to put a face on them. That's it. See you there. Okay, so the next thing I've done is measuring. Okay, now I want these tolerances to be fairly tight because they are kind of loose inside their container. And so what I've done for the last hour is I've been doing this, okay, which is measuring very precisely the size of box I'm creating, and hence the cuts that are needed for each box. Okay, so an example here, that's the size of box required. Here, whoops, that is the size of box required. Here are the cuts required for that box. Okay, so that then determines my cuts for each drawer, and I've also been calculating my loo, my toilet drawer pull-out. And then that, if I add them all up, then goes to this page, which is my cuts, which is what I'm about to do. So for the 3.5-inch heights, I need 266 inches in length, which is 23 feet in length, which is 5 lengths of the 5 foot. I've got 5 foot 1/2-inch plywood to cut, okay? So I know what I'm cutting. And then I have another length, which is common, which is the 16.5-inch interior depth, okay? And I need 62 inches of that, which is 5.2 feet, okay? I just realized I probably need to go back a step. So if I have a 13 5/8 width drawer times 17 inches deep, yeah? What I need is 2 17-inch by 3.5-inch lengths, okay, because that's the long ones that I just mentioned. I need 2 cuts of 12 5/8 by 3.5, which is an inch smaller to do the interior part of the walls of the drawer. And then I need 1, because of the way I'm building it, I'm going to put the bottom of it inside all of that, okay? Again, I just want it to be very clean lines, and that means you take an inch off each side, 1/2-inch, 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 okay? And I really should draw this for you. I'll see if I can do that when I produce the video. I need 1 12 5/8 by 16 panel at the bottom, okay? So that's how I do those calculations. And now it's just a process of doing all the cuts, doing them really square and accurately, which is why I'm going to use my Craig hard edge, or what else do people call it? They call it a dam, or whatever you need to make sure that when you're using your skill saw, it's super, super straight cuts, and you know whether you're cutting straight on the line or just to the right of a line to make sure it's very precise. And that's where you get to know your own tools, okay? And your own gate mechanism here, okay? So my gate is a Craig gate mechanism, okay? So I'm about to spend the next couple of hours cutting pieces out. Now, just quickly, the reason why I'm not using pocket hole jig for this project is I have found that with 1/2 inch plywood, and please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments if you found a better way to do this, with 1/2 inch plywood and pocket hole screws, it's just not enough purchase, it's called. There's not enough to grab the pocket hole screw at the other side, and it's just really freaking messy. So I'm going to use a brad gun and cabinet screws, period. It's going to be super easy. As I said, true cabinet makers will roll in their grave when they see how I do this, but it's going to be really simple and tight. It's going to be glued and screwed and varnished. Okay, now to cutting. And so as I'm setting up my space, I'm going to be cutting on here today, okay? So I'm starting to set things up. I just always keep these measurements handy, because you get into a certain space of working with a skill saw, and you've got to get into a space for safety and have all your safety gear on and that stuff. But I want to always keep checking, what am I cutting, how much of my cutting, and at this point, what I'm looking at is this page. At this point, I'm looking at this page, okay? Just the lengths of that, and then I'm going to get down to the individual cuts afterwards. Okay, so first the big lengths, and then I'm going to cut them down for each drawer box. So I've got all my long lengths cut, and now I return to cutting the shapes. So back to this other page where I'm going to cut the exact strips for each box, and I'm doing all these at once first because I've got a skill saw out, I've got my hard edge out, and I consider this kind of the first part of the project, right? So get all the cuts done, and then I can put that away, and then I can get out the screws and the glue and the clamps and start putting them together. So what I'm just showing here is, as I'm doing each cut, I am check measuring everything, because even though I've done the measurements in advance, there can be 1/16 of an inch or even an 1/8 of an inch variance, and I want to make sure I'm cutting the right cuts so it's super easy when I end up attaching all these together. So they're good. Double checking this. And just another thing to note with this method, you just keep sliding it through, and if you've got a little tiny cut at the end, you do that first, right? Okay, so because that gives me some depth here, we're going to do this one first, cut it off, and then we can do the one that's in the middle of those, because I'm cutting that in two, and then I have to cut that off. This is just some tips. And I just want to show you how super duper square all that is. It's exactly right. Super simple drawer box made out of 1/2 inch plywoods. I can't tell you how incredibly satisfying it is to have ticked and crossed all of the cuts out. Yay! That's 4 drawer kits with all of their sides. Well, I'm just going to show you how I put these boxes together. These drawer boxes made out of 1/2 inch plywood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue and brad nail the long lengths that are flush first. My gluing gloves, if that isn't obvious. Here are my completed drawer boxes made out of only 1/2 inch ply, okay, and I have used 1 inch brad nails and these lovely little 1 inch, what they called super drive multi-purpose screws. Great, they're very much like a cabinet screw that I did just pre-drill a little bit, and Type Bond, love this stuff. Now I'm just going to fill holes up, including the screw heads, with this, and then I do this weird thing where I put them in their place in the van to dry overnight because they're going to dry in the right shape. here goes. So here I have the drawer fronts for the toe kick drawers. I've simply cut them out a little bit shorter than the height of the toe kick. I have edged them with birch edging, okay? Even though I'm about to paint them, that again is something that I do because it makes the edges smoother. And I'm just about to paint them in the glue. Oh, I'm really excited. We're about to finally mount, in fact, kind of mount one of my first finished things, which is going to be the toe kick drawers. So these have been varnished, sanded, and then varnished again, so twice. Okay, they've been sitting there overnight. And then these are the fascias, the fronts, okay, for all of those, which is fantastic. And then some of my door and drawer hardware's arrived, which I'm super stoked about. These are ridiculously gorgeous. These leather pulls are going to be all over my installation. What I'm doing now is these are going to be magnetized, super simple. So I found these fabulous little magnets. Okay, these magnet sets that come with the front and the back of the magnet and a little silicone adhesive strip. Yep. You just stick the silicone piece on and then you stick that on and then you screw it in. So you get to position it, which is fantastic. So I've done that in all of the positions. And note, these are sitting just a little bit down from the top because the drawer will sit a little bit down from the top. And I want to make sure it gets as much grip on the magnet as possible. And then screw the drawer fronts to the drawer boxes. And then put the hardware on the front of the drawer boxes and then we're done. They're in place. Exciting. Just want to show you how these little magnetic blocks work. They're very, very cool. So this is my drawer front. Just so you know, they're getting scratched up. So I've decided I'm actually going to paint them again before I install them. But okay, so look at where my top is and my back is. That's the top, that's the back, okay? And in my installation, these go right at the top edge, square at the top edge. Yours may not, but this is where mine go. So we put these little silicone adhesive pieces on first, double-sided, which is super cool. And then the position they need to go. Stick them on hard, press them down, and then pull the double-sided backing off. Okay. Then, so they're in position, and then you stick this on top to put mine nice and square in that position. Now they're in position. I'm doing a little tiny pilot hole for these, smack in the center. makes those little screws easier to screw in. Blow out any sawdust. Use our little teensy screws. And we simply screw them in position. I've noticed it moves it around a bit, so sometimes you need to square it back up. And that padding at the back means you've got something to screw against. And make sure they're flush. No, I'm gonna redo these fronts, don't worry about that. Okay, so they're in position, and now I've put the drawer slide in place, and now I'm gonna go and line it up, coming back here to attach the front. Okay? Okay. So this position once again shows me I'm gonna have to notch that out. I knew that was gonna happen with a couple of these because it's very tight. That's what I'm gonna do. Little notch I have to do. I love clamps. Clamps rock. So I just want to show you what that affords. Okay, because I wanted that to be flush, obviously with the front of the box, I've just cut a notch, just with chisels and a hammer, just so that the magnet slips in behind there and doesn't change that nice straight edge there. Okay. A couple of these drawers share a magnet, so going to fix the front to the box now. Start by marking the spots I'm going to drill. Just do a little pilot hole drill first. These 3/8 inch lathe screws are fantastic for attaching the drawer fronts to the drawer box. Putting the hardware on. Beautiful little leather straps. We're finished. So, a project come to fruition. Toe kick drawers in place, which is really exciting. The hardware is on. We're all lined up, and that's that side, and then that's going to be the shower in there. So very, very happy with this project. They pull out beautifully. Slide out here on the UHMW slides, and they simply just slide back into place and magnetize in position. That's how to utilize your toe kicks so no space is left unused.